Hello. Hope this video finds you in good health. I'm going to shed some light on your upcoming assessment, that is the report, final report, and going to give you some tips regarding your writing. Okay, so I'm going to basically follow these slides. Uh, it's based on the technical writing for publications, mostly aiming at articles, but I'll just try to map uh, uh, all of these contents with the example report that you may have to submit in your week 13. So first of all, why technical writing? Basically, the technical writing, both article writing and report writing, is aimed for publications. So whatever you have gained or generate new knowledge, you need to publish it and spread it to other people's, other researchers. And the publication usually happens through conferences and journals, and good writing can help you to get published in good journals and conferences. So there are the tips for good writing for your report writing. And since you're not going to publish anything, but your aim is to get good grades, so these tips would help you to get a good grades as well. So my first comment is that you have to write for the readers. As you can see here, you need to write clearly and to aim at to the readers. Don't write for yourself. So you have to write in a way so that the reader can understand. If the reader don't understand it well, then you have to understand that you didn't present it well. So you have to present it well, and I'm going to give you some tips. How can you present your report in a well organized way, in a well fashioned way. So writing for the readers, write explicitly and clearly, and don't write in such a way that the reader need to infer from what you have written. The reader don't need to assume, rather write explicitly whatever you are going to do. So in your report, you have to explicitly write everything that you have done throughout the theory to the technical steps that you have followed to the end of your report. Everything should be well structured. So let's have a look at the structure. So this is a structure of a paper. It does have all of those contents like title, abstract, introduction, related work, main text, conclusion, references. All of those things are also true for your report, but your report has a little bit more organized way that you can see from from here. As you can see here, in case of your report, the asking things has given. But there are three kind of reports: mini thesis, literature review, and the project. There's a development project type report work, and the mini thesis is basically a combination of both literature review and the development. But in all of those cases, as you can see, some parts are very common, like the title, the abstract, the content, the introduction, and many other things. So you need to look at the type of your report, and you have to ensure that your structure or your content, all the content, the report would carries all of those parts, like the introduction, the literature review, and every other things. But you don't need to strictly follow that structure. The structure can changes a little bit, but that would depend upon your story. I'm going to show you some a report here, the example report, the sample report that has been uploaded to the Blackboard. You can see in the Blackboard, in the assessment section, you'll get some report has uploaded, and all of this report, if you jump into the content, you can see the reports are having looks like that. It does have an abstract, and before the abstract, after the content, table of the content, there is the list of figures, list of tables, and so on and so forth. So you have to have all of those things if you have any figures, if you have any tables. Apart from that, as you can see, it has three major parts: literature review, since this is a literature review based report; project execution, and result and discussion. Finally, it does have conclusion, references, and some appendices. In appendices, basically you can have your reflection, you can have your the weekly meeting minutes here, and some other things. If you look at other report here, this report is a little bit more extended, as you can see here. It is a little bit more extended, and it does have phases, like the project methodology. There are 4 phases and their explanation. And interestingly, it has subdivided his main work into 3 motivation or 3 contribution. So this is another storyline, but it doesn't miss anything. It does have literature review, it does have discussion, result, and every other things, but the way they have been presented is a little bit different. So whatever the storyline you use, you must have to have all of those contents, like your literature review, like your discussion, like your result, and so on and so forth. Maybe they're placed a little bit different way, a more meaningful way, with respect to your project category. So that's not a problem. You can talk to me regarding your structure. You can talk to me regarding your the content, and that would be absolutely okay. But you must have to follow the CRA and to ensure that every part is attained in your report. If you miss anything, you lose mark. Okay, so now back to the slide. So the title. A good number of students are not very much aware about the title, but title is the first chance to impress the reader. So your assessor will be impressed by your title. If your title is good and well crafted, then it will impress your reader, your assessor, to get you a good grade, because they will believe that you have done quite a good work, spent a lot of time, crafted your title in a meaningful way, and that will encourage him to read further. And if they read further, they will understand, and they'll give you good mark. So what should be part in a title? In my case, I have given you a lot of titles. I mean, those are generic title. You need to change them, and you need to make it more meaningful according to your project. And there should have some part of these 4 things, like problem, solution, method, and feature. So in your title, somehow you need to convince that it talks about a problem, and the problem is there, the solution is given, we have proposed the solution is there, the methods is also there, and the features, what kind of features you have been used. So let's look at some example. Like this is an example. It has a good big title. It talks about they are suggesting a enterprise architecture and a system consideration for tracking mobile assessing assets utilizing low Earth orbit satellite. So in that case, there are features. If I look at the feature, it's low Earth orbit satellite. The problems is tracking mobile assets, and their solution is also they have utilizing Earth's orbit satellite. So it actually bears both of the concept, and they have the method is enterprise architecture and system consideration, some sort of method they have explained there. So if I jump into one of my paper, as you can see here, GNSS time synchronization in vehicular ad hoc network benefit and feasibility. So the problem is time synchronization in vehicular network. The solution is GNSS time synchronization. The feature is also GNSS. And what the method, or what I'm going to do, I'm going to analyze here the benefit and feasibility. So this title actually covers all of these four parts and make it more meaningful. Okay, so I would expect you to have a good title for your report as well. Next is abstract. It's a second chance for the reader. So when I'll read and your moderator will read, they will read the title and then jump into the abstract. So your abstract should give a very good and clear picture of what you have done, what is your result, and so on and so forth. it will attract the moderator to read further and give you a good grade, definitely. So the structure should be looks like that. You have to have talk about the background in large at first, then background in small, then you have to talk about the problem and significance, then you have to talk about your contribution, methods and features. And if you have done any verification and application, you have to mention it here. So it looks like a upside down pyramid. Yes, so it looks like upside down pyramids. Okay, so yeah, so you have to have a very big picture at the very first places, then gradually will come into down. Now next section is introduction, definitely, and in your cases this is introduction. It's for the paper, but I'm going to look at the introduction. In your cases the introduction should cover all of those things like motivation, purpose, significance, and projects. So I will suggest you to look at all of those samples and see what they have done in the introduction. So you have to talk about the background, you have to talk about the objectives, motivation, significance, scope, and deliverables. All of those things should be present in your cases. So as you can see, the 13 pages, like from 8 to 13, like 5 pages they have been invested to crafted their introduction. So I will suggest you to read some sample and try to see how they have been crafted their introduction, and you'll also try to do the same things to get a good grade. I believe this kind of introduction secures all the parts that is asked by that introduction section to get a good the grade 5 marks. Now if I talk, then you have to talk about your related work and motivation. It depends. In your cases, the literature review would be the related work and your motivation, and definitely the main text. So your contribution is your the fundamental research that you have been carried out, may take place in a section of the discussion, result and discussion. Some part may reside in the literature review section. So you can have 3 chapters dedicated for your contribution, literature review, your result, and the 3rd chapter is discussion. And for the case of development students, development based students, you could have your straightforward development. Okay, so it depends. Talk to me and try to craft your report based on the type that you have been followed. But each cases, of course, I would recommend you to see this help sheet. It definitely shows you everything that you need to cover in your report. Now I'll jump into conclusion. So in your conclusion, that is the last chance, I'll read that conclusion definitely. You have to summarize your work. And while you're summarizing your work, you have to highlight your contribution and significance. And if there is any possibility to do some further work, you will put them as a future work. So that's very important. We look at the future work, whether they have anything given as a future work direction here. It's very important. So don't miss anything while you're crafting your conclusion. And the references, in case of references, you have to follow for literature review at least 20 papers is the standard way. You can have plus minus, but I would expect at least 20 papers, and all of them are current, from 3 to 5 years old. And you need to follow some reference management software like EndNote or Mendeley. That's pretty easy. You just go to the YouTube, you'll say some guideline. The QT also gives some guideline for using the EndNote. So if you use the EndNote, that would be very easy to maintain the bibliography, and manual things are erratic and manual things time consuming. So that's not scientific way of doing research nowadays. So I would expect to see the use of EndNote or Mendeley in your report. And while you're writing, I would say you have to write this using this methodology, which is called topic driven writing. That means you have in each paragraph you should cover a topic, and the topic can be the first sentence of your paragraph, and later it should be extended. So I would say to write down all the paragraph based on a topic. So in some cases students starts and the topic sentence put in the as last sentence. That is also okay, but that is difficult. I'd recommend you to uh, start with the topic sentence, then explain the topic sentence. So topic driven written, you'll get a lot of YouTube videos and some guidelines on how to do topic driven writing. So I'd recommend you to follow, do some Google and find out what is actually topic driven writing and why it is important in your report. So finally, I'd like to say that yes, try to write for the readers, try to write for the moderators, try to write for the examiners. Don't write for you. So don't keep anything inside you, don't make it complete. Write down things explicitly, try to use good vocabulary, legible vocabulary, good grammar. Follow the topic driven writing to develop every paragraph. Okay, and you need to always tell your readers explicitly and clearly. If you don't tell them like that way, then they will not understand, and if they don't understand, you'll not get good mark. So that's it for today. If you have any question regarding this video or any part of your development, just feel free to mail. Thank you very much.